And with all this pressure still, no signs of Starmer stepping down.
No, but he's holding on for dear life.
Just like West Ham.
Yeah.
So Paul, lots of fallout from last week's local election results.
Yeah, after days of speculation, Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, resigned yesterday, and in his resignation letter said it was clear that Starmer would not be leading the party the next election and told him to resign.
But then the big one early Thursday evening.
Yeah, it was the big one, and Josh Simmons, the Labour MP for Makerfield, said he was standing down to allow Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, the so-called King of the North, to run in the by-election, and if he wins, presumably launch a leadership challenge.
And after blocking Burnham previously, when he tried to run in Gorton and Denton by-election in February, Starmer this time won't block him.
No, sources are saying this time he's going to let him run.
And what has been the reaction in currency markets to yesterday's news?
Well, although we saw a moderate decline in sterling when Streeting news broke, the pound tanked on the Burnham announcement.
And that's because Streeting comes from the centre of the party, like Starmer himself. But Burnham is a darling of the left.
Exactly, and financial markets would rather someone from the centre of the party like Streeting or even Starmer himself running the country, because they tend to keep within fiscal rules. But they fear if Burnham won, or even Angela Rayner, if she joined the leadership bid and won, would lead to more spending and borrowing.
And Burnham said last year that Britain had got to get beyond this thing of being in hock to the bond markets.
Yeah, indicating he would adopt a looser fiscal stance.
But Burnham win in the by-election is far from a gimme.
No, not at all. Makerfield swung 50% in reform in last week's local elections, but Labour did have a 5,000 majority in the last election.
But if he didn't get in, we're still in store for a leadership challenge.
Yeah, Rayner would probably be the candidate of choice for the left.
And there's been a poll conducted over the last few days among party members to see who they would back in a potential leadership contest.
Yeah, there has, and the results show Starmer would beat Streeting.
Really? Beat Streeting?
Yeah, like we said earlier, both centrists, so better the devil you know, I guess.
And what about the other likely challengers?
Well, he would lose against Burnham, Rayner and Ed Miliband should he throw his hat in the ring.
And with all this pressure still, no signs of Starmer stepping down.
No, but he's holding on for dear life.
Just like West Ham.
Yeah.
And going back to the pound's performance this week, not good.
No, it's on track to have its worst week against the dollar since 2024, currently losing around 3 cents.
But that's not all on the political news.
No, the greenback has found demand independently on the back of inflation data. This week's consumer price index and producer price index for April came in above expectations.
And that's increased the likelihood of a rate hike by the Fed this year.
Yeah, it has.
And against the euro,
It's lost around a cent, and that's all on this week's political news.
and the ECB, are they still likely to raise rates next month?
Yeah, it looks like it, and policymakers' comments have only increased that likelihood.
And only a peace deal in the Middle East and a return to normal energy supplies could make them consider leaving rates on hold.
Yeah, I think so, but that's looking unlikely at the moment, with Trump saying Iran's response to the US proposal to end the war is totally unacceptable.
And have we heard anything on the conflict from Trump's visit to China?
No, not as yet, but apparently they did discuss the Straits of Hormuz, and the White House said President Xi agreed it must remain open to support the free flow of energy.
Well, let's hope they can bear some pressure on Iran to reopen it.
Yeah, let's hope so.
And next week's moves are going to be UK politics and the Middle East.
Yeah, more than likely, but we do have UK employment, inflation data and retail sales, and markets will be looking for comments from Bank of England policymakers for their thoughts on what's going on.